His name is Richard Burkett Jr., and he is a retired career Marine Corps aviator who was injured on April 11, 2012, along with 3 other service members when the tiltrotor aircraft, which he was piloting, crashed in Morocco, located in the northwest corner of Africa during the annual exercise African Lion. The crash, in which 2 Marines were killed, left Major Richard Trainwreck Burkett Jr. with lower limb and ocular nerve damage, which resulted in the amputation of both of his legs. Recently, we spoke with Major Burkett about the crash, his loving relationship with his wife and family, and about his plans for the future.
Yes, sir. My name is Richard Dean Burkett Jr. Most folks call me either Eric or Trainwreck. I'm from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. So initially it was the Army and Army Reserve from 94 to 99. And then after I finished college, went to Officer Candidate School for the Marine Corps. Served as a Marine until 2016.
Okay, and how old were you when you first went into the Army?
I was 23 years old.
Okay, all right. And during your time with the Army, what was your specialty and where did you serve?
So I started out as a 31 Lima. 31 Lima. I was a wire system installer out of Fort Gordon, Georgia. And then came up here and then worked as a wire system installer and in the comm section, and then eventually I forget what all the little MLS designators are, but went to bulk petroleum school for the reserve unit here in Farrell, Pennsylvania, and then climbed to the rank of sergeant when I finally made the transition over to the Marine Corps. And then as a Marine, I served primarily on the East Coast, in deploying squadrons out of the East Coast of Marine Corps Air Station New River, initially as a CH-46 pilot, and then as a MV-22 pilot.
Okay, and what made you make the transition from the Army into the Marine Corps?
I wanted to play for the varsity team.
You wanted to play for the varsity team.
Like LeBron James, he wanted to go play for the Lakers, right? Because he wanted to be a winner. So,
yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the real backstory is my dad was a Marine, but he had always told me growing up at least 50 times, maybe 100. You don't have to be a Marine because I was a Marine, and I would always answer something along the lines of, I want to be a Marine because I think that's what God wants me to be, and not for any other reason. And the whole reason behind the Army was my brother had enlisted and was telling me about all the bonuses that the Army was offering for going back to school. So when I went down, I took my little brother down to the recruiter's office so he could finish up paperwork. I was talking to his recruiter about that, and it was pretty hard to believe. I think it was to the tune of $64,000 is what you could possibly get for college and bonuses. And I told the recruiter, I said, "Give me a minute." And I ran down the hall, talked to the Marine recruiter, and the Marine recruiter said, "We can give you the GI Bill and the title Marine, and that should be enough." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I need to finish college, so I'll be back." So that's what I did. I went down. That's why I joined the Army first, and then I was able to finish college at Grove City College as a reservist, and then head off to the Marine Corps in '99.
Okay. Were you deployed at all as a Marine?
Yes, I was. I was on my 4th deployment actually when I got hurt, but I did a MU float to the Northern Arabian Gulf. We did a lot of stuff in southern Iraq and central Iraq, as well as a lot of countries along Northeast Africa and the rest of the Northern Arabian Gulf. Israel, Jordan, Qatar, but then most of our time though was flying in and out off the coast of Iraq, across Kuwait.
And what rank were you?
That first deployment, I was a junior captain, and then my second deployment was to Iraq, and I was actually at Al-Assad, and I was a captain there as well. Third deployment was to Afghanistan. Right after I got there, within like 2 or 3 days, I was promoted to major, and then on the last deployment, it was another MEU float, and we were in northwestern Africa, and that's when I got hurt.
Okay. And these were all combat deployments?
Yes, sir. For the most part, some the MEU floats the role can change pretty quickly. So, but we were ready to go. So, when we were flying in and out of Iraq, obviously, when we were in Iraq or in Afghanistan, obviously, and then we were in support of Operation African Lion when I got hurt in Africa.
Okay. So, what's it like to be responsible for a mass number of guys?
It's heavy, and I think that I was fortunate enough that I had good officers when I was enlisted, and obviously my dad is a role model too. But I came to really appreciate good leadership and able to see it in action, and what were the characteristics of this particular person that made me appreciate them, that made me want to be like them, made me want to follow them, most importantly. And then I try to squirrel that away and use it, and as kind of like a tool out of the toolbox, so to speak. But then also I was able to witness leaders that I didn't care for, and be able to identify the traits that I didn't like and try to avoid those things. It boils down to really, it was when I became an officer and Marines started calling me sir and that kind of thing. I really felt that if I had to remind somebody that I was an officer, or I was whatever rank I was, that I had failed somewhere previous to that as a leader, and it was like I'd failed to earn their respect and their trust. Because I would rather have men follow me out of, Marines in general follow me out of respect and trust than for any other reason. Not because I just ordered them to do something and they don't want to get in trouble, but because they know if I, gave an order, it was important, and they would trust me and, have confidence. They might not understand it or might not have time to explain it to them, but for the most part, they can count on me for not wasting their time, or more importantly, not wasting their health or their safety. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, as a pilot, I didn't really lead a large number of men into combat per se, but was part of an air crew, and eventually an aircraft commander, and there's a heavy weight. There's the burden of leadership is there. The decisions that you make affect people in positive ways and in negative ways. I would say you definitely have to be sure of yourself and confident in yourself and your abilities. And then in the situations where you aren't sure, seek counsel. Go to the gunny, go to the master sergeant, go to another officer that you trust or a mentor, and just be like, hey, I'm in a spot here, I'm not really sure what's going on. And then hopefully when you're the guy and you're alone and unafraid and everybody's looking to you for guidance, you've got enough tools in the toolbox to make the right call and get through the day and accomplish the mission.
Mm-hmm. And how many deployments did you say you had?
Four as a Marine, and then I had 2 in the Army.
Mm-hmm. And how long was each deployment?
6 to 9 months, depending on which one.
Okay. How is that? We went to Vietnam for 13 months or 12 months or whatever, but you had deployment and came home, then you went again, and that. What's that like?
I mean, I have nothing to compare it to, but when I look back at like the Marines in World War II, or the Marines in Korea, or even the Marines in Vietnam, and your deployments were much longer. Especially like World War II and Korea, like you're in it to win it. I mean, you leave and you can come home the victor, you can come home the vanquished, and it's up to you. There was, maybe you get to rotate out or do something, but you're still there, and you're going to go right back. There's no coming home kind of a thing until you win. But I mean, I had a great family. I still do. My wife's amazing. She was able to pick up the pace and carry on without me, which really truly is a blessing when you don't have to worry about what's going on the home front while you're out there. But I enjoyed it, and I'll tell you, as far as deploying, the personal side of it is I can stay focused on the job. I don't have to come home and deal with anything really. The kid is sick, or the car's not working right, or whatever. And as kind of as crummy as that sounds, because all that falls on Melissa. I'm focused on work, and I'm focused on getting ready for the next day and making sure the guys have what they need to succeed, and just whatever. And I stay focused from wake up to lay down. I mean, there's just one thing, and that's accomplish the mission. So we were flying an MV-22 in southern Morocco, and we were moving troops from a remote airfield back to an LZ, and we had just dropped off our second stick of Marines, and we were picking up, and we accepted a tailwind and departed, and basically it was able to lift the tail of the aircraft up. So when we were transitioning to forward flight, the aircraft went into uncontrolled flight, and we impacted the ground at 78 degrees nose down. There was a point where I was unconscious, so as the co-pilot and I tried to take control of the back of the aircraft, I was very awake and aware of what was going on. I remember the impact. I remember the control panel slamming me in the chest, and the sensation that my legs were being torn off, and I passed out. Right about that same time, as quick as that thought went through my mind, I passed out, and I was really quite upset at the time, because I was upset that I was going to die in Iraq, die in Africa. All the stuff that I'd seen in Iraq and Afghanistan, I was really kind of frustrated or angry. But then I passed out, and when I woke up, I was outside of the aircraft, and the Marines that we had just dropped off were gathered around me, trying to figure out how they were going to pick me up and move me away from the plane. And I remember at the time, Gunnery Sergeant Alvarez, he leaned over me, and the gunny said, "Don't worry, sir, we got you." It was a pretty good feeling.
Yeah. What was running through your mind once they got you out of that wreck and got you?
Oh, really, the first thing went to the guys that were in there. Right after they moved me, they got to Captain Dyer, my co-pilot, and moved him out and got him away from the airplane. And I remember I called to the gunny, and I said, "Gunny, I got 2 more guys on the plane. How are they doing?" And he stopped, and he turned and looked at me, and he looked at me and said, "No bullshit, sir." And I was like, "No bullshit, Gunny. How are they doing?" And and he said, "Well, sir, one of them's dead, and we're trying to get to the other one now." So I was laid up for a long time, and I'll tell you this. So as a logistics officer in the squadron, I don't know if I said that earlier, but all the Marine officers have another ground job, and as a major, I was in charge of the S4, the logistics shop, in addition to flying. And one of my responsibilities was to gainfully employ Marines that are getting in trouble for one reason or another. A lot of times it's something pretty serious, where they've lost confidence in their ability to safely work on the aircraft. And then and a lot of times they're getting processed out, whether it's court martial or admin sep or whatever. They just don't want to work on an aircraft, but they know I've got jobs to do, whether it's the warehouse or counting gear or whatever. But I'd get these guys in and I'd talk to each of them as they came, and I'd give them the kind of the rundown. And I'd say, hey, I don't really care why you're here. I don't care, but you're here. God's put me in my world, or put you in my world. So, let's try to make the most of it. I expect you to act like a Marine, and as a male, as a man or a woman, and you can expect to be treated the same. If you want to bring your drama to the shop, well, then we'll deal with it. If you don't want to bring your drama to the shop, then that's all good, and we'll just keep pressing on. Don't lose the moral high ground. I really don't care what you say, except don't bring my God into the conversation. Don't be bringing up Jesus Christ. Don't be bringing up GDs. But after that, whatever words you want to use them. I'd say, don't lose the moral high ground. Let's say the gunny or the sergeant's having a bad day and you feel that you're being mistreated, come talk to me about it. Use your chain of command. If I'm having a bad day and you don't think you're getting the satisfaction, there's the sergeant major, there's the XO, do what you got to do. But finally, I would say, for whatever reason, you're now in the S4 shop and we're getting ready to transition out of the Marine Corps. You've accomplished what God's purpose for you was in the Marine Corps. If you were to meet somebody, learn something, teach somebody something else, whatever God's big plan was, you fulfilled it in the Marine Corps, and now He's got something else for you to do. We can either embrace that fact and make the most of our time right now together, or we can fight it. But either way, you're most likely getting out of the Marine Corps. So let's make the most of it. So when I stand up in front, of the commanding officer as a character witness, I can say this person here has been, an exemplary Marine as long as I've known him, or as long as he's worked for me or she's worked for me. Or I can stand up in front of the commanding officer and I can say, crucify him. But it's up to you, Marine. How do you want to do it? So fast forward, I finally get back to Walter Reed after the crash, and I'm laying in the hospital bed at night, and it's tough because I could hear my voice talking to those Marines saying, your time in the Marine Corps is coming to an end. You can either embrace it or you can fight it, but it's coming to an end. And it was a gut check. It was a huge gut check, because my wife and I had some plans, some ideas of what we wanted to do, and where I wanted to go as a Marine, and that kind of thing. And we certainly didn't have getting busted up and getting, ultimately retired from the Marine Corps because of all this. And I had to sit there and, was this something that I just told those Marines because it was convenient or cute, or was this something that I really believed? And it was tough. And I'll tell you, to be completely honest, I would pray that, God would give me guidance and give me at least contentment in my situation, for the transition out. But as quick as I would pray for that, I'd try to take it back, and I'd try to, stay in the Marine Corps, do something else, or, hey, I don't have to fly, maybe I can go do this or do that. God had to keep smacking me around until I figured it out that, hey, you know, what he's got for me is outside the Marine Corps as well.
It seems like you figured it out pretty good. And we're sitting here because of, you know, it's because of a higher power that we're sitting here talking.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, your family, you have beautiful kids. Okay.
They got a beautiful mother.
Tell me a little bit about them.
About my kids?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
How long have you been married? And
So, we've been married 17 years. And my wife,
and her name is?
her name is Melissa.
Okay.
She was on her way out of the Marine Corps when I first met her. She was, I was actually visiting one of my very best friends from high school, who was at a different base. He was at Cherry Point, and this young lady walked in to talk to his wife about something, and I'm not sure exactly what went on, but she ends up leaving, and I said to Robbie, I was like, hey, who's that? And he's like, oh, that's one of my Marines, and I was like, oh, forget it. You know, I said, I don't need that aggravation at all. Anyway, he said, well, you know, if you're interested, she's getting ready to EAS. She's getting ready to finish her contract with the Marine Corps and get out. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Not interested. And I said, maybe if she's sticking around or whatever and our paths cross after she's out, I might talk to her. But, you know, I'm a lieutenant. At the time I was a lieutenant, and I was like, you know, I don't need that aggravation with an enlisted Marine. Yeah, it's big time, no go. Well, yeah, so she gets out, and, you know, Rob and Carly invite me to a crab boil, and they invite her to a crab boil, or the volunteer firefighters fundraiser breakfast, you know, and she's there too. And to her credit, I mean, she stiffed-armed me. She didn't even, I don't think she knew I existed for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months. And I mean, it was okay and stuff, but, you know, eventually we got to talking, and it worked. And she had a moment of weakness and said she'd marry me, and I took full advantage of it. So, but yeah, really, she's amazing. I would definitely credit the toughness that it took for her to become a Marine was the same kind of toughness that it took to get through, especially Walter Reed. And, you know, I was going through a lot of stuff, had bad survivor's guilt, and just very frustrated, angry, disappointed with myself, with the situation, and you know, and she's right there, and so she got to see it all. And, you know, I would explode on her or explode on the kids for little to no reason whatsoever, just because I was so chewed up inside. And but she stuck with me and loved me despite myself, and yeah, she's awesome. She really is. And then we've got 6 wonderful, amazing kids. My oldest is getting ready to leave for the Navy. He's going to be he's contracted to become a CV here. He leaves in August. And then his name's Keenan. Then Jocelyn is my favorite 15-year-old. She's just like her mom. She's tough and stubborn and hardworking and wonderful, and she keeps her 2 younger brothers in line, and is a pretty good big sister to her 2 younger sisters as well. And after her, it's Maston. Maston will be 13 here before too long, and pretty excited about that. He's a good boy. Not like your typical middle son. I would say he's more like a firstborn. You know, he's very responsible, hardworking, deliberate, focused, athletic. He's the one that has the good grades, and He's one of the leaders on the baseball team and on the basketball team. He's just, naturally right there in the middle of it. And then right after him is Lachlan. He's my youngest son. And he's a wild man. All he wants to do is keep up with his older brothers. And so as a result, he does everything at 100 miles an hour. It really, I enjoy him all, but he's particularly special. And then we have the two twins. We have two twin 4-year-old girls. And they are a handful, and they wear their dad out. And I think they get a lot of pleasure by doing that as well. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. They see the soft side. They see the weak side. So I had a mentor at Walter Reed. He was actually, another patient. His name is Travis Mills. He's, you can Google him, and there's 1,000 things about him. He really is an amazing guy. I believe he was the 5th surviving quadruple amputee. Quadruple. And he was blown up the day before I crashed. But I got to Germany to Landstuhl, a big military hospital there, before he did. And I remember them wheeling him past my room to take him to his room. And I really truly, I thought to myself, that guy's dead. He's just hanging on right now just because he's mean, But really, I thought for sure, and thankfully I couldn't have been more wrong. But Travis Mills, he truly is as tough as they come, and he was positive and he's motivated. He had a young daughter. He's always he would be in the physical therapy lab. He was always there before you. It didn't matter how early you got there. He was going to beat you there, and then he was going to talk trash to you because you showed up late or whatever. But it was all good-natured stuff. But one day I remember asking him, I was like, man, how do you stay so positive? And, and it really, he took a lot of pressure off me because he was honest. And he said, man, I don't always stay positive. I get these little slumps of depression or whatever, and I get really upset, and I consider my current situation, and I get down on myself. And then at some point, I just realized that sitting here having a pity party isn't going to get me anywhere. So I strap on my arm and strap on my legs and go try to make the most of whatever days left, and he does it. And he's amazing. He really is. I haven't seen him in years, but I follow him on social media. He's a motivator. If you get a chance, if you want to interview somebody who's just incredible, interview Travis Mills. He's got a camp up in Maine right now that, it's beautiful. A big lodge, whole bunch of things to do, but it's a veterans retreat. You can take your whole family up there. It's all accessible. But Travis just never stops. So when you got guys like that in your life that can be real and honest with you, but at the same time, get up and attack the day, it really takes the pressure off. So when you're having the bad days, that's the thing though with the kids though, and my wife, they see me when I'm doing my thing and I'm out there as well, but they also see me when I'm here at the house and it's I'm hurting or I'm upset about something or whatever. But you gotta put the game face on. You gotta go out and go live your life. God doesn't want me sitting here hiding behind a door or anything, feeling sorry for myself. There's too much to do. There's people to inspire. There's love to share. So that's what we do. What makes me get up and go about my day? There's always something to do. I've got another good friend, Leah Coriel, who is going to be going to her second Paralympics here as an archer here in Tokyo. And earlier this year, we were talking, and she said, "Let's just make a little pact to be 1% better than the day before. 1% better, whatever that 1% is. Let's be 1% better. If it's 1% better diet, if it's 1% more positive, even if that's just a minute or two of the day that you're more positive than you were yesterday, if you're stronger, if you're faster, if, we're both archers, if you're, 1% better archer than the day before, because of the practice that you're putting in or whatever. And, when you look at it kind of like that, and 1% can be whatever it is. It's not really like there's some kind of unit of measure, but it's just the idea is I don't have to be much better, but I just have to be better. I just have to be a little bit better, and then a little bit better, and a little bit better. And then before you know it, you look back and it's like, hey, look, I'm walking again. Hey, look, I'm doing this again, or I'm doing that, or my scores in archery are going up, or I'm able to impact more people in a positive way, or I'm 1% better husband. I'm a 1% better father. It's a mindset. I mean, really, it's a mindset to not give up. But I'll tell you personally, that helps drive that is, I believe that if God wanted me to have legs, or let me back up, if God needed me to have legs to accomplish what He wanted from me in life, they'd grow back. They'd grow back. I don't need legs. These don't define who I am. They might change the way I approach stuff because it's a little bit more difficult now, but this doesn't define me. I'm still Trainwreck. I still talk trash to people. I still have fun. I still go to the gym. I still have responsibilities to my wife, to my kids, to my community. I mean, none of that's changed. Do people, take care of me and help me out? Sure they do. Sure they do. But just because I'm quote unquote disabled doesn't mean that I need to be a victim. Doesn't mean I need to roll over or accept life hitting me in the face. No, I'm going to go out there and hit life in the face. Let's do this. Let's go have fun. Let's go attack the day. Let's be 1% better than yesterday. So let's go back. So I graduated from high school in '90, and I got accepted to go to Grove City College. I went there my freshman year, had no direction, no focus, and ended up getting kicked out after my freshman year. They said, don't come back. So it was pretty rough, and that's kind of where I started looking at different things, and what ultimately led me to go down, talk to the Army recruiter about money for school so I could go back and try to knock it out. So anyway, like I said, went into the reserves and was able to, I reapplied to Grove City College, and they, by the help of the same gentleman that basically kicked me out of the school, he fought to help me get back in. And Jim Thrasher, Dr. Thrasher, great guy. So I went back to Grove City College, and I finished it up. But while I was at Grove City, I'd go to the gym. I was a rugby player. I had started out playing football, but didn't care for it. Started playing rugby. But I would go to the gym in the morning. I was a non-traditional student. I was already used to getting up early. And I don't know if you've ever been to a gym on a college campus in the morning. They're empty. I mean, it's perfect. You can go in there and lift. You're not waiting around or anything like that. But John Kolb had been hired as a strength and conditioning coach for Grove City College football. And one of the things that changed while he was there was when he powerlifting, but it's to generate what he refers to as impulse power. How quickly you can generate maximum strength, your impulse. And so he brought in powerlifting equipment, and they built platforms and stuff, and there were guys doing snatches and cleans and stuff that I'd seen on TV but never really had access to or whatever. But I was watching guys do it, and I was like, I could do that. I can see the benefit of that kind of a lift. That's a lot of weight they're moving, and they're bringing it all the way from the floor to up over their head. I mean, I like it. So one morning I'm in there goofing off. I'm sure Coach Kolb probably saw me, and I can just see him kind of looking at me through the window, of the door, me goofing off down there on the platform, and shaking his head like I've got to go help this guy. So next thing I know, and I didn't know John Cole really from Adam. Watching the Steelers growing up and stuff like that, the Steel Curtain. I couldn't have picked him out. But anyway, here's this really nice guy. Obviously just an incredibly powerful man. But walks up and he's like, hey, how you doing today? I'm Coach Kolb. I'm like, hey, Coach. He's like, let me help you out. So he spent some time with me that morning, and 3 or 4 times throughout the next month or so, just helping me with some technique stuff. And I liked it. I enjoyed it. Really didn't think a whole lot of it at the time, but I really came to appreciate this guy's style, his mannerisms, his approach to strength training, and just his bedside manner. Just a genuinely nice man, and knowledgeable, and so I appreciated that. Well, after I graduated, I had an opportunity, obviously, like we had talked about earlier, to transition to the Marine Corps, and I'd gotten a letter that I was accepted to the Officer Candidate Program starting in June. So I was going to a gym. This is later on, not when I first met him, but I was going to a gym out in town, and I called him up, and he was in there a couple of times too, and I don't know exactly what his role in that gym was, but I'd seen him a couple of times. But anyway, I got a hold of him, and I was like, hey, Coach, I'm getting ready to run off to Marine Officer Candidate School, and there's no such thing as too fit. Help me. And he did, and he designed this workout program for me, and I stuck to it, and I worked hard. I worked on it as hard as I could, and thankfully, it was spot on. When I got to Officer Candidate School, I wasn't the super fitness guy. I wasn't the max PFT, but I was up there, and it just made life so much easier. And it also opened up a lot of doors. Here's a big guy, smart guy, but he's fit and he's hardworking, and And so eventually, I was able to earn a flight contract and everything else. But it was, due in part to being physically fit, and thanks to Coach Kolb's workout. And it wasn't just like, hey, we're going to do bench press, we're going to do this, the stuff that I was kind of focused on. But there's all kinds of multi-joint things, and there was band resistance, and there was a lot of just stuff that I wasn't incorporating, and didn't even know to incorporate into a workout. And man, it paid off huge. There were plenty of guys at Officer Candidate School that were just sucking wind and completely gassed, and I did well. I enjoyed it. Believe it or not, I enjoyed Officer Candidate School. So now fast forward, I'm hurt. I go through 4 years or so, even more than 4 years at Walter Reed, and retire and move back home here. And I was talking to the lady at our VA clinic here in Newcastle. Sorry, my nose is still stuffed up from being choked up earlier. But anyway, I was talking to a lady in Newcastle, the VA clinic there, about, is there a fitness program or anything that the VA offers or anything like that? And she said, hey, there's this program called ATP, and you might have heard of this guy. He was an old Steeler player, and his name's John Cole. But I was like, are you kidding me? So she's like, no, why do you know him? So I kind of tell her the story that I told you. Anyway, she refers me to ATP, so I show up out. Well, I got in contact with him. I talked to his son Caleb and his fiancee Sarah, and of course I'm telling them this history that I have with Coach Kolb, and they're excited about it. But I was probably just another crazy random person that has a Coach Kolb story. But somehow, in all the thousands of people that Coach Kolb has met between then and now, he remembered who I was, and he shows up there, and we start all over. And once again, here I am. I've lost both my legs now, and I'm just frustrated with my health and everything else, and and I remember I was in the wheelchair, and I come in they have a big garage door, and I came in the garage door, and I'm looking around, and I can't see a weight. I can't see a dumbbell. I can't see a barbell. I see some ropes, and I see lots of balls, and I see, just all kinds of crazy stuff, and I'm thinking, man, I'm in the wrong place. I want to get jacked, But I'll tell you, in true Coach Kolb fashion, he's like, slow your roll, big fella. Listen to what I have to say. This is why I want you to do it. And man, I was getting some crazy workouts in there. I would just leave totally spent. But he does. I mean, and thankful for it. And along with not just becoming more physically fit, but leaving there with confidence, and leaving there with hope, and looking forward to coming back, because I knew it was the right place, and there were things that he was having me do that initially I couldn't do. I couldn't even come close to doing, modifying it to work, but going in that direction. And I mean, he hasn't changed. I mean, Coach Kolb is super knowledgeable and passionate, and definitely an expert in his field. And and he is, the love of Christ, just trying to help everybody. I can't speak highly enough about Coach Kolb. Probably 3 or 4 times Coach Kolb coming through the gym, and he's like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Hey, I was watching you. Why don't you try this, whatever? And then one of the guys that I played rugby with said, hey, do you know who that is? And I was like, yeah, that's Coach Kolb. And he's like, no, I mean, do you know who Coach Kolb is? And I'm like, strength and conditioning coach for Grove City. And he's like, no, do you know he's like a Steeler legend? 4 Super Bowl rings, strongest man in the NFL, number 6 in the World's Strongest Man competition back in the day. I mean, this guy's an animal. And I'm like, what? Yeah. I mean, he doesn't show it. He doesn't wear it on his shirt. Doesn't brag about it. And in fact, I've heard that he's taken some of his rings and made other jewelry with it. It's like, what am I going to do with all these these big giant rings? That diamond I can make something for my wife, or that gold I can do whatever with. And I mean, just a humble, sincere, genuine, awesome guy. I mean, then you start Googling him, and you're just like, this guy never stops. And when I say never stops giving, never stops trying to help people. I mean, it just, I'm just probably one of thousands of people that he's put a fingerprint on.
So what can you say to get someone to sit there and think and say, hey, look, yeah, I need to move away from where I'm at?
So a couple things. I mean, and everybody's different. Some people you can have a conversation with and say, hey, look, let's consider what's going on here. I mean, I'll also say that I don't call post-traumatic stress a disorder. And the reason I don't is because it's not. In my opinion, I'm not a medical expert, but it's not a disorder. It's a natural reaction to trauma. I mean, you watch guys get shot up, or a guy dies, it's, or 2 guys die on your watch or whatever. That's traumatic stress. And I don't think you're a human if you don't have some kind of reaction to that, And so to say it's a disorder, that kills me. I mean, because you're already kind of like saying there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you for being emotionally upset by this horrible circumstance. And maybe it becomes a disorder when you become a victim to that, when you can't get past that, and that's probably the most tragic part of the PTSD program, I think, in the VA, is that it's victimizing. It's not like, hey man, I love you, and yeah, that sucks, and it's okay to hurt, and it's okay to cry, and it's okay to be angry, and it's okay to want to go punch holes in the wall because of crummy stuff that's happened to you that you can't change or do anything about. You know, your buddy just died and he bled out in your arms. Come on. How are you not affected by that? That's not a disorder. That's a natural reaction. You know, people that you love or you care about are hurt. How is that not going to affect you? You're inhuman. That's it. I would say you have more of a disorder if something like that doesn't affect you and doesn't cause you to have a gut check. So you can go and approach a guy and just say, hey, look, man, I know where you're at. I know what you're feeling. I see where, let's go do this. Let's go do that. And it doesn't have to be today. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't even have to be next year. But you've got a choice. You've got a choice to be a victim to your circumstances, whether it's post-traumatic stress, whether it's you're an amputee, whether you're a quadruple amputee like Travis Mills. You have a choice. You have a choice to be a victim, or you have a choice to be a survivor. Man, I want to be a survivor. I don't want it to be defined by post-traumatic stress. I don't want to be defined by missing legs. I don't want to be defined by any of that crazy stuff. I want to be defined by what's ahead. People ask me, what's next? I don't know. But my best days are still ahead of me. I like to think I was a pretty doggone good Marine. And I loved it. Man, if they give me the opportunity to jump back into this thing, man, I'd be so tempted to. But my best days are ahead of me. I don't know what they are. I don't know what God's plan is. But I know this. Praise God that He's got a plan for me, and I'm just going to go find it and attack it. And I'll try to bring as many guys with me and inspire as many people with me as I can. I mean, that's it. You can sit in your room, you can withdraw, you can feel sorry about yourself. Travis Mills. Yeah, I feel sorry for myself. But I realized it wasn't getting me anywhere. And I've got a beautiful wife, and I've got a beautiful daughter. What's sitting here being upset going to do for me? Nothing. It's still a natural reaction. He's not wrong for feeling bad. He's not wrong for being, depressed. None of us are. It's okay. It's natural. And I don't think that we go down that road to say that it's okay and natural to be upset. But just as much as you're upset and depressed and dealing with stuff, we can also go out and we can go shoot a bow. Let's go figure it out. One of the best archers in the world, he doesn't have arms. Straight up. Okay, so what's your excuse? Let's go shoot. Let's go do something. If you don't like to shoot, let's go play cornhole. Let's go to the gym. Let's go do 1,000 other things. Let's go to a Bible study. Let's just go sit out in the woods and listen to the birds and nature. Whatever it is. Let's go watch cars. If you're a city kid, let's just watch the cars drive by. I don't know. But let's not be a victim to something that happened in the past. Let's be a survivor so we can go take advantage of the future. That's where I'm at. Do I want to have legs? Heck yeah, I do. But do I need them? No. Heck no. Let's go attack. I'm not any kind of a superhero. I'm certainly not like 10 feet tall and bulletproof, but I do have a strong faith in God. Despite everything that's happened and lessons learned and everything else, I lead a blessed life, and I truly believe that my best days are still ahead of me. I don't know what they are. I hope that I don't shrink from the task that God's got for me, but I do lead a blessed life. I've got a great family. God's sovereign no matter what happens, and everything else is secondary to that. Let's go.
We here at the Veterans Channel would like to thank Major Burkett for his service to our country and for allowing us into his home to conduct this interview. And by the way, we would like to mention his accomplishments as a skilled archer, having won a gold medal as a member of the United States archery team in both the Endeavor Games, held in 2013 in Oklahoma City, and the Invicta Games, held in September 2014 in London's Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. Even to this day, his passion and participation in archery, and his faith in our God's mission for him helps him to overcome any major challenges in his life and from any anxieties that his injuries might have instilled in him. And although he may never admit to it, he is truly an American hero. And for this we say, Hoorah, Major Trainwreck Burkett, Hoorah.